Hi guys, it's Kayla here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be recording a little differently. I'm in a different kind of seating arrangement in my office, but I have like a really nice Canon camera that I have been using lately for my videos, which is great. Like the quality is like super great and everything, but I kind of made a dumb decision when it came to buying it because I didn't get the kind of camera that has the little viewfinder so that you can like see yourself and see that you're in a good angle and all that stuff. And my camera for some reason only records for 12 minutes at a time and then it shuts off automatically, which really pisses me off. So it is such a pain in the ass to use that camera. It's so inconvenient. I have to constantly like run back and forth, like behind the camera, in front of the camera, to make sure I'm in focus, to make sure I look okay. Like, it's just such a pain in the ass. It is not user friendly. I didn't think about it. It just didn't occur to me until after I bought it, and then I was like, damn. So right now I'm using my iPhone, which I've used before, and you know, it might not be as great quality as that camera, but this is so much easier for me to use. I can record longer than 12 minutes at a time. I can actually see myself, so I know I'm in focus, and I know, you know, I don't have like a hair, you know. So that's why if you can tell the difference, which I know some of you can, I can usually tell when people have changed, you know, their camera or whatever, but whatever. I mean, this is really good technology anyway. It's a smartphone. It's fine. Whatever. It's so much easier to use. So thank Jesus. So I don't know why I told you that, but just in case you noticed that it's different, you know, that's why. So today I'm going to be doing a book review. And this book review is kind of different because technically, I guess, this book or this one story is like split up into 3 different books. They're smaller books, and I think you could call them novellas. Like, I would call them novellas, but they're one story. Like, you could have smashed the entire thing together and it would have been fine, and it would have been one story. Might have been a little long, but I don't know. So I have no idea why the author wrote it like this. Oh, it's so irritating. But anyways, this book is called let me scoot over and I can put it over here. Yeah, should I do that? Yeah. So this book is called Reasonable Doubt, and that's like the name of this series or whatever. Reasonable Doubt. So there's Reasonable Doubt number 1, Reasonable Doubt number 2, and Reasonable Doubt number 3. That's kind of hard to say really fast. I think that's what they're called on the GOODREADS. Let me see. And if you can hear stuff in the background, my boyfriend's out there. He's in the bedroom and he's listening to God knows what and watching TV. So I mean, if you hear noise, I apologize. I really do. Yeah, so it's like Reasonable Doubt, Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. And the more I read it, the more I hated it. So the first book, Volume 1, I gave 4 out of 5 stars, which is pretty high. That's a pretty high rating. And I did this because it was pretty good. Like, it had a really interesting plot. Like, the fact that, okay, so I guess I'll just read you like what it says like on the GOODREADS. So, ooh, I don't think I could say this. It's really naughty. The description is really naughty. So I'll just describe it myself. So it's about this attorney, and he lives in North Carolina, I want to say. It's either North Carolina or South Carolina. I think it's North Carolina. And he practices at this place, you know, and he's like a hotshot attorney. Like, he's a great attorney, and he is super gorgeous. It's a love story. I don't know if I said that. This is like a contemporary romance. That's what this, I guess, is the genre. So he's an attorney, and he's very arrogant. He's not very like romantic. He's very hit it and quit it. He has like these rules when it comes to his romantic life where he only sees a woman one time, only sleeps with her one time. It says like one date, one dinner, one like time to sleep together, and that's it. And so he has no connections, no attachments, nothing like that. And he basically does all of this through a dating website. And he's, I mean, he's gorgeous, so he doesn't really need a dating website, but you get the feeling early on that there is something, that he's been hurt really bad in his past. And also I think you learn pretty early on that he used to live in New York City, and he used to be this big hotshot attorney in New York City. And then it makes you think, like, why are you in North Carolina? Like, it just doesn't make sense. And so, you kind of get this feeling that he's running from something, that, his life is very different now than what it used to be. So he's very closed off and he's not like a sweet guy. But anyway, so what really intrigued me about this was the fact that this was like, it had to do with law. And I personally, I mean, I'm fascinated with law, and I think it's such an awesome topic to learn about our justice system in the US, the law, attorneys, lawyers, all that stuff. It's really fascinating to me. And personally, I have a paralegal certificate, and because when I got my bachelor's degree in English at my college, along with having a bachelor's, you had to pick a minor. And when I was picking my minor, I thought about doing creative writing. But since I was already had an English degree, I was like, maybe I should pick something that's a little bit more, not practical, but a little bit more like a trade, like a skill. I don't know. So I thought, oh, paralegal studies, because you're basically a glorified attorney's assistant or a lawyer's assistant. That's basically what you are. So I thought, oh, that'd be so fascinating. And so I took a bunch of classes, paralegal classes. I got a paralegal certificate, and it was fascinating. I mean, I basically took a bunch of law classes, a lot of classes that lawyers would take, really, really fascinating classes. And so I loved it. And so the whole idea of law and stuff is really interesting to me. So I was like, oh, this sounds really interesting. So it was, and the storyline is really cool. So then so his name is, oh God, I don't even know what his name is. It's been a while since I read this. Andrew. His name's Andrew. And her name is, well, you think it's Alyssa at first, I think. And then it's actually Alicia or Alicia. I don't know which one. And so basically he goes on this website, this kind of chat room where it's all about lawyers. So you can only be in this chat room if you're a lawyer. And a lot of times it's a way to network, a way to meet other lawyers, a way to discuss different, topics, and maybe get help with cases and stuff like that. So it's kind of just a social network for lawyers. And so he's on it regularly, and he meets this girl, and she's on it, and he flirts with her a little bit, but she won't fall for it. She just keeps oh, whatever, I don't know, she's not falling for it. So then it turns into this friendship, this weird friendship where they talk to each other every day. They text, they talk to each other on the phone, and it turns into this thing where they're best friends. They turn into best friends. And he tries so hard to sleep with her and to flirt with her and stuff, and she always is no, and she asks his advice on all kinds of stuff. And so it's this really cool friendship that develops. So I mean, so far it sounds so cool. It works. It was funny. It was so captivating. I could not put this book down. I couldn't put it down. It was really good. So then you find out that she is not a lawyer. She's actually I think she's in pre-law. She's a college student in pre-law, and her parents are very wealthy, well-known lawyers, hotshot lawyers. And she saw that her mom's account to this lawyer social network was open, and so she went on there and made a fake profile or something, I don't know. And she ended up pretending, so she's lying and saying that she's a lawyer, and she's doing this to get help with school, it's a way to learn, it's a way to get help with her homework assignments and stuff. So all of her advice that she's been asking him, they're actually homework assignments, and he has no idea. So it's this really, really cool, funny thing, right? And then she has to intern at a law office, and because it's him and two other partners that run this lawyer's office. and they have to hire some interns, right? And so he goes into an interview and he's like so bored, he doesn't want to deal with interns, and he's like, you know, interviewing interns, and she has to go in for an interview to be an intern, and it turns out that I don't think she had any idea that that was his, because they don't really know each other's names. Like they gave each other fake, when they were on that lawyer website, they gave fake names. And so in real life, she had no idea he worked there. He has no idea she's an intern. Why would she be? He thinks she's a lawyer. And little things come out and they figure out that they're the other person that they've been talking to. And so it's crazy, right? So it sounds so good, right? And it is. It's so... And I think that's roughly where the first book ends, is where when they both find out that that's who these people are, their names are fake, so I was like, oh my God, what happens next, you know? So that's why I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It was so good. And then, I don't know what the fuck, but it just got worse. With every book, it got worse. And the only reason why I finished all 3 books is because I have DNF'd so many romance novels recently that I got so sick of DNFing that I was like, I'm finishing this. Because I kept reading like good chunks of books, and then I would DNF it, and it felt like I didn't read it. Like it didn't count towards my reading, you know? So it was pissing me off. I was doing all this reading and I couldn't finish a book. So I was like, fuck it. So I finished it, and whatever. But so yeah, so since I read The Hardest Fall by Ella Mays in June, I had been in the mood to read contemporary romance. So I've been on GOODREADS and Googling and stuff, and I found all of these like contemporary romances that sound really good to me. And I kept reading them and reading them and reading them and like starting them, and I'd get either like 15%, you know, through it, halfway, 25%, and it just, something would happen where I'd be like, I cannot read this. Like I had to DNF it. It was awful. And it was pissing me off. And then I got to this one and it totally grabbed my attention, and I was like, yes, finally, you know? No. Second book, it started going downhill. So in the second part, so his one thing is honesty, right? Like he is very cruel when it comes to people who lie, even about the smallest things. And so you get this feeling that like, okay, he was hurt in his past and it had to do with lying. And so when he finds out that, you know, she is Alyssa, and then he finds out her real name's actually Alicia, or Alicia, I'll say Alicia, and he gets really pissed at her, like really pissed that she lied to him about being a lawyer, or about her name, I think he felt really betrayed, especially because he was really liking her, like they were best friends, they talked to each other all the time. He felt betrayed, which is completely understandable. And so they hire her as the intern. And so the second book is like him being really pissed off at her, and her kind of being pissed off at him too, because he's like ignoring her calls and all this stuff. And she's like, you know, slowly falling for him. And it's just ridiculous. So a lot of this book is like, she's his intern and he's torturing her, you know, making her do the most ridiculous things and stuff. And so it's very, I don't know. And you would think that like, maybe that kind of sounds like a cool, you know, angsty plot line. It starts, the writing gets bad, and then her as a character, oh my God, this is where I start to hate her. She is a big reason why I hate these books. I really cannot stand her personality. Like she's very, in the beginning she seemed so level-headed, very sure of herself, confident, kind of funny, very smart. Like I really liked her. And then in the second part of the book, all of a sudden she started becoming like so pathetic and like dramatic, and her relationship with her parents is so irritating, and the dialogue is just so unrealistic. And oh my God, so another big thing about this book is that, so like, yes, she's in pre-law. That's largely because her parents are lawyers, and so they're like pushing for her to be a lawyer too. And yes, she likes law, but I guess her real passion is ballet. And I'm like, okay, like it's cool, like yeah, you like ballet, sure. No, she wants to be like a professional ballerina. And she's like, it's just written so bad, like it's unrealistic. And like her journey of her ballet dances and her ballet, trying to get into ballet academies and ballet companies and stuff. And it's like, she's in her like mid to low to mid 20s. It's just so unrealistic. And she becomes so like pathetic about it. Oh, I just hate it. So I hate the whole ballet thing. That was so unrealistic. Oh, it's so irritating. I just can't handle it. And it just gets worse and worse and worse. And then the third book, I think once I got like halfway through the second book, I was like, oh my God, I'm hating this. I want to DNF it. But of course, I was like, don't DNF it. Keep going, because I was just determined to finish it, you know? And the sex scenes were real steamy, real hot. You know, that was awesome. And the storyline actually was so cool. The only things that sucked about the storyline was her and the ballerina thing. That was so fucking stupid. But everything else was awesome storyline. Like, the plot was so good. Because then, you know, throughout the books, you start to realize, like, all these revelations about him, and you're just like, oh, like, I can't tell you how many times I was shocked, and I was like, oh my God, no way, you know? Like, and it was the storyline itself. So you find out weird things, like she finds out that he's married, and she loses it because she's like, oh, you know, you're always mad at me because you said I lied to you, and yet you're lying, you're married. And he's like, oh my God, I'm not married. Like, well, he's trying to divorce his wife, right? And then you're like, oh my God, he has a wife. And it has something to do with New York. And then like she comes in and they have this like quarrel, and he hates her, like despises her. And you're just like, why? You know? And then you find out what her name is, right? And then at one point, Alicia goes to his apartment, and she sees on the wall that there's like these letters, like pretty like letters. And it was like E and H. And she's like, E and H? And she's like, what are these letters? It didn't stand for his initials. It doesn't stand for his wife's initials. And she's like, the hell? You know? And so there's all these like little mysteries, and you find out like, oh my God, it's so dramatic. Like that there's, okay, spoilers. If you want to read this, I would not recommend it. It's shitty. But if you want to read it, spoilers ahead. Now the spoilers are coming. So you find out that as the book goes on, he has like these nightmares, right? And these memories, and it involves a little girl. And then I'm thinking, oh my God, okay, he had a daughter. Where is his daughter? You know, you've met him, you've met his wife, you know, and you're like, where's the daughter? Like, did she die? Like, you're just so confused, right? And so finally you get these tidbits that, oh my God, it's so crazy. So when he was in New York City, he was madly in love with this girl, which was his wife. And they opened up a law office together. And then I think also with his best friend. So it was like them three. And they had a wonderful life, you know, they got married, and, you know, they tried to have children, and then finally she got pregnant, and he's madly in love with this little girl, and it's just like a wonderful life, right? Well, things start to get weird, and he overhears some conversation, and he sees these papers, and he's like, the hell? So he goes to his office, and it's late at night, and he hears, like, in the office, like in the next room, that people are like having sex, and he's like, oh shit, like, who's having sex, you know? And it was tax season, so people were there late at night. It wasn't weird that there were people there, and he kind of hears a familiar voice, and he realizes that it's his wife and his best friend, and they're having an affair behind his back, and he's crushed. I mean, this guy, you know, you get these flashbacks. This guy, Andrew, back in the day, he was this beautiful, wonderful, sweet man, and he was so betrayed that it turned him into this very cold, cynical, angry person, you know? So he overhears them that they've been having an affair for years, okay? And he's just blown away. Then he finds out that the child is not his, that it's really his best friend's child. So, I mean, oh my God, like, just constantly crazy fucking shit. And then on top of that, you find out that these dumbasses, his wife and his best friend, and she's evil. Like, oh, she's evil. You find out that they have been embezzling through their own law office, and things are getting bad, and apparently the cops are onto them, and they're about to get busted. So you know what they decided to do? They're pinning it on Andrew. And he's overhearing this conversation, and he's like, so in the same night, he finds out that his wife is cheating on him, that his daughter is not his biological daughter, that and that he might go to jail and he might lose his practice because of them framing him. He had no part in this, you know, embezzling and fraud and stuff, but his other two partners did. I mean, it is fucked up. So you're just like, okay, I totally understand now why he is the way he is. And so you're like, this storyline sounds awesome, doesn't it? It is so good. I cannot tell you how awesome the storyline is. But the books ruin it. The writing gets shitty. She gets shitty. It's really like, if just the storyline, and if it had a different girl and not to do with ballet, or if it did have to do with ballet, it's not realistic that she's gonna become a professional fucking ballet dancer at like 26. There's no way. Like, there's no way. It's just so not realistic. It kills me. So, it's just irritating. So, the book had a lot of promise, right? Oh my God. And then the last book, it just gets worse. So, the second book, I gave it 3 stars, I think. Yes. The second book, I gave it 3 stars. And then the last and final book, I gave it 2 stars, which I really should have gave it 1 star. But the reason why I gave it 2 stars is, like I said, because the storyline was really cool. Like, it had a great, cool storyline. But then it just went to shit. Oh, it was so irritating. It had so much promise. So what it feels like is like this writer had this wonderful idea and spent so much time really creating this wonderful plot and idea, and it was awesome, right? And the first book was really good. Like, I feel like I can tell that she took her time and really worked really hard. And then on the second and the third book, she's just kind of like half-assed it or rushed through it, or, oh God, I don't know. It just got worse. Oh my God. And like, I don't want to be like negative. Like, it's like, this is somebody's hard work. Like, somebody wrote this and worked very hard on it. And like I said, there's so much promise. But if I'm going to be honest, like, I really, really hated it. The writing got bad. God, Alicia and her, God, I just couldn't stand her. I just can't stand her. Her personality, the things she says, the decisions she makes, the way she treats her parents, it's just ridiculous. I mean, it's just so stupid. Ugh. But of course, you know, the ending has a happy ending and everything, and there's a lot more to it. But, so yeah, so that was Reasonable Doubt by, I didn't even tell you who it was written by. I mean, if you've seen it because of, you know, the picture that's here, but by Whitney G. That's what it says. It was written by Whitney G. And it has 26,000 ratings on GOODREADS. You know, it averages 4.12 stars out of 5. This had, it just had so much promise, and I freaking hated it. I hated it. And maybe other people might like it, you know, and that's fine. That's great. I hope other people like it. That's the thing, is like, it was so confusing to have a book that had such an amazing plot line, storyline. Him as a character, fascinating. The character of his daughter and his best friend and his wife, and everything was so good except for her. I fucking hated her. So yeah, this turned into a little bit of a rant. But anyways, I finished these books because I had DNF'd so many damn books. So yeah, that was Reasonable Doubt by Whitney G. She's written a bunch of other stuff, if I'm not mistaken. I might look at some of her other stuff. I don't know if this is some of her newer work or some of her beginning work. She definitely has talent. She definitely has promise. I mean, her storyline was insane to me and so good and captivating. And so she knows how to write a story. She knows how to write sex scenes. Whew, yes, she does. So, yeah. But overall, I didn't really like this book. So, yeah. So if you've read this book, let me know what you thought about it. Let me know, you know, your take on it if you've read it. But that's the other thing too, is like, I have such a hard time with contemporary romances. For some reason, I have such a hard time reading them. Like, I have such a hard time finding good ones that I like. And so it's really hard. So if you have any, you know, contemporary romance that you think I might like, or that are really good, you know, let me know. Give me suggestions, because I need them, because it is hard for me to weed through all of the crap to find the good ones. But anyways, so yeah, I hope you liked this video. You know, if you did, like, subscribe, and do all that stuff, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.